Here's a couple facts that people don't recognize when we talk about mental health and blaming mass shootings on mental health. 1 in 3 members of law enforcement will have or do have PTSD. This is a reality. It's not something that anybody can really debate against. That is 1 in 3 members of armored law enforcement with guns, with protections for themselves, have a disease that can easily cause a problem. The reality is the vast majority of those with mental health disorders are no threat to anybody. And when I say the vast majority, I'm talking over 99.5%. This is a fact. It's a simple fact. If we wanted to get rid of guns out of everybody with a mental health disorder, if we wanted to get guns out of the hands of those with mental health disorders, we would have no law enforcement. That's a simple fact. We need to stop saying mental health when we have these events. We need to start saying those who pose a danger. Not everybody with a mental health disorder poses a danger. We also need to, on the other scale of this, really sit down and handle the crisis that is mental health in the best way possible. The first step of this is actually having a real understanding of what a mental health is. The courts still today have said that DSM-5, DSM is the main group, the main manual for mental health disorders. It literally goes back by in detail what each mental health disorder is. It's recognized across the globe. Most major medical companies right now will only accept DSMs. DSM-5 is the 5th update because they update their booklet, their manual, every so often, usually about 10 to 15 years. We receive an update. This is what that manual is. But the courts have said, since there's these other smaller groups that do not update their diagnosis and whatnot, they can also be recognized. So that results in multiple people getting falsely diagnosed. So we have these groups of these disorders we know that can cause problems that have a higher rate than other disorders. PTSD, schizophrenia, and a number of other disorders. Schizophrenia, of course, being closer to the top. So we have these disorders that we know that can cause drastic and dangerous situations. We also know that there's a 99% of a chance for those with those disorders, 99 literally being the chance of the highest person being safe, 1% of them not being safe. But we know that we can look at these people. We know that we can look at these diagnoses, these people with these diagnoses, and evaluate them a little bit more thoroughly. If we freaking had a system that recognized the fact that you have to have a manual to tell you what is this disorder. But the courts still have said that mental health, you can't make it So the government system can't make it so that they only go by DSM. This is a severe problem that we have to recognize and we have to attack. The system, and the reason that we have all these shootings, mental health is part of it. But we can't even figure out how to handle the mental health part. More or less, the other mass parts that are really there. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I've been a Second Amendment supporter since I was a child. I'm an Army brat. I've been able to shoot since I was 7. That is the reality. That is my reality. I 100% support. But I don't quite understand why anybody needs more than one AR-15. Why? How the heck are you going to shoot 2 AR-15s at one time? You can't. There is no need for it. If you see somebody having a wish list of AR-15s, 15s with a palm, then you know that that person has a problem. Because they don't need more than one AR-15. That alone should catch somebody. We need to literally put a stop on manufacturing of AR-15s. We need to limit the amount that people can buy. 1 every 15 years, 1 every 20 years. They last forever. We need to put a limit on how many guns people can buy. And we need to put a limit on ammunition. This is the reality that we are in. There is no need to have a portload of weapons. It's just insanity. It's ridiculous that so many people line up, take guns and inside the house and on the porches and whatnot, and it's filled. Like, you don't need that many. It is ridiculous that we are still experiencing these shootings, and everybody needs to come together. There is a reason we have the Second Amendment. Mind you, we are a nation by the people, for the people. The people run this nation. We have the ability to rise up if we find it ever necessary to do so. So we need to make sure that the Second Amendment is protected, but it needs to be logical. Again, you can't shoot more than one AR-15. How are you going to rise up? You're going to be trying to shoot somebody and you're going to be killed in a split second. Like, that doesn't make any logical sense. There is no reason for this mess. So, looking at all of this, and here's my simple message. Gun control needs to be done, but it needs to be done reasonably with common sense. Both parties have to get involved. Mental health crisis is what it is, but it has to be handled logically. If you call 911, there's a 33% of a chance somebody with a mental health disorder is about to show up at your door. Accept it. Accept that me, as a pretty much non-violent PTSD, is no threat to you. I'm more likely to cuss you out, chew you out, and take your ass to court. If you are attacking somebody or me, I'm probably going to defend myself and take your ass physically to court my damn self. That doesn't make me a threat. Kind of makes me somebody that would speak up for somebody else. Some people will call that something different. I don't that much. So except we need to stop using the phrase mental health and start using a danger to others. We have to. People don't recognize so much. I was an adult, but my IQ was less than 80 when Virginia Tech happened. I went to Sunday school with a survivor. I have not actually spoken to her in a very, very long time, but when Virginia Tech happened, my mind set, because of the overdrugging, the abuse and mental health system, which is another problem, was 80. I was a child in an adult body. I was not able to recognize it. I relive Virginia Tech, those long hours not knowing if she was alive or not, as a child. And that terrifies me. What people don't recognize is when they say that you relive it, when it happens to somebody else, you do. It scares me, knowing what I've been going through in the last day, to think about what the Sandy Hook survivors went through, to think about, all going through, to think about what the kids and other mass shootings are going through. What really everybody is. We live it. If you know somebody that has survived a mass shooting, you are reliving that. If you are somebody who has survived a mass shooting, you have severely relived it. Please take care of these kids, because they need them. Everybody else that goes, I'm holding my child a little extra tight today. Well, those parents had to, and still are. Very, very tight. We need action to fix our problems. The actions have to come from the courts. DSM-5 has to be the manual that is allowed to be required. That is required across the nation. No more other groups. I've seen psychologists who are not DSM-5s. Heck, one of the last people to do a thorough review, in her report, she says she's not DSM-5 licensed. It was accepted by one group, drew out by my primary care doctor as being irrelevant and unacceptable. Enough is enough. We need to accept mental health. There is a crisis. We are seeing a crisis. We have to attack it. We are going to have mass suicides if we do not. So let's attack that right now. But let's also attack it reasonably and logically. When we take away the Second Amendment from people, do it with a brain. Clearly, this shooter out of Texas in this elementary school, somebody should have gotten a hold of him. Because the fact that he's posting what he's about to do, and there's a very little response or no response, no one calling it in, is a problem. The fact that he was able to post photos and photos of guns he wanted, and nobody thought to take action, is a problem. The fact that he was able to buy multiple rifles is a crisis problem. We have a problem. The problem is us not being logical in how we attack this. So let's stop being unlogical and let's start being logical right now.